Here are some questions about those four teams. Hey, Louis Riddick, Russell Wilson, is he actually going to be the starter week 1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, yes or no?
Yeah, Brady, I think he'll be the starter week 1. Now, I'm not going to guarantee you how long that stays the case because there is a lot of optimism surrounding Justin Fields and his fit and Arthur Smith's offense and the kind of offense he's going to want to run, which is heavy run, lots of play action, move the pocket, take advantage of the athleticism of the quarterback. I think Russ starts off the season that way, but this is one to watch very, very closely.
Let's go to the Colts next. Hey, Tim Hasselbeck, if Anthony Richardson is healthy, what does that mean in Indianapolis?
Means the Colts have a shot at the division. And listen, not a huge sample size from his rookie season, but I think what you saw from him, you could be really encouraged by. And so, an off season where he's able to get some work, and then just like his physical talent and the talent around him in a division where it's really probably just the Houston Texans that you have to knock off. So I think it's big news for the Colts if he is healthy.
Louis, I'll come back to you on Kirk Cousins. He's going to begin the season as the starter in Atlanta, but we know they drafted the quarterback early. Will Kirk Cousins finish the season as their starter?
Yeah, I think he will, Greeny. Look, I don't see how Michael Penix, as fantastic as he is, as much as he showed during his time at Washington, I don't see how he beats out Kirk, who is very, very, very well-versed in the version of the offense that they're going to run down there in Atlanta. He's highly motivated. He's someone who has played at a high level his entire career as a starter. I don't see any reason for that to change. And why rush Michael Penix when you have Kirk Cousins there anyway? No reason to take him out of the lineup, and I don't think he'll play his way out of the lineup.
And then finally, Kmart, let's talk about the Cowboys who opened training camp in Cali today. Is this Dak's last dance in Big D?
Greeny, it should be, but something tells me maybe there's going to be a surprise and Dak actually wants to remain in Dallas. I don't know. Dak just doesn't seem like he's got that mercenary gene in him where he's like, you know what, this is my time, I'm going to stick it to you. He has always talked about being a Dallas Cowboy quarterback. He loves that. But if it's me, I'm going.
Well, he may have some options, but we do have a developing story. I mentioned the Cowboys flew out to Oxnard, California yesterday. CeeDee Lamb was not on that plane, and Adam Schefter reports that CeeDee Lamb is not expected to report today. We know he's been unable to land a contract extension, so he is not expected to report to training camp today with the rest of his team, which will mean that as of today, CeeDee Lamb is officially holding out from Dallas Cowboys training camp. We've been talking about this forever. We have been talking about the big 3 contracts in Dallas, the quarterback, the receiver, and the pass rusher. Jerry's told us that they were going to be all in. I think we thought they would get all of them done.
You thought he meant that.
Well, yeah, exactly right. We made the mistake of actually listening when he spoke those words. We thought, well, they'll get all 3 of these done. Well, maybe they'll get 2. Well, maybe they'll just get 1 of them done. Well, they've gotten none of them done. So, Louis, now the rubber hits the road. What does it mean that CeeDee Lamb is not in camp today?
Well, it means the fact that, look, over the past 3 years, someone who was ranked in the top 6 in terms of receptions, yards, and receiving touchdowns, someone who basically carries the load for you in the passing game, someone who plays a position that, by all accounts, is trending towards being the 2nd most important position in the game of football. I don't care which level you're talking about, is now not in training camp, is now not working towards you actually fulfilling your expectations that we talk about every year, which is to get to the playoffs and advance in the playoffs, and advance not just in the playoffs, but advance to the Super Bowl. You don't have that key part of the puzzle here, in training camp, working with your quarterback, who you also don't have signed to a long-term contract, who also has all the leverage on you going into the 25 season, and you still haven't gone ahead and signed your franchise pass rusher to a long-term deal anyway. Look, I was someone who gave them the benefit of the doubt, saying, look, there's plenty of time to get these kind of things done in the offseason in terms of getting your big 3 signed. And so when he says he was all in, I assumed that he meant, look, my 3 pivotal players who play the 3 most important positions in football, quarterback, wide receiver, pass rusher, we're going to be signed to long-term deals, and then we'll fill out the rest of this roster around them. Every team in some form or fashion has to do that. You have none of them signed. You have none of them. And as a matter of fact, the quarterback is sitting there going, wait until it's my turn to really put the screws to you. The wide receiver is going, I'm not even showing up. And the pass rusher, he's sitting there going, well, you already know what's going to cost you for me. So what's happening right now?
Yeah.
What is happening?
So Tim, here's the way I look at this, and you tell me if I'm looking at it wrong. I'm very bad at art, right? Like when I was a kid and you would have to draw up, you could never decipher what animal it was I was trying to draw. But what even I could do was when they gave you the little numbers and said, make this blue and make this red and make this green, I could do that. I could color within the numbers. The wide receiver deal is that, right? It's been made. The template is there. It's literally, this guy got paid, this guy got paid, this guy got paid. He slots right in the middle there. The deal is in front of them. It is literally coloring by the numbers. And so, Tim, what does it mean that for whatever reason they haven't gotten it done?
I think that it gives you reason to question, how Dallas is negotiating with these players. Like what are they doing? Are they saying, hey, you live in Texas. It's an income, tax-free state. And so, this is what the number is here because it's comparable to what the number would be in California. It wouldn't be the first time an organization tried to do something like that. To me, it just makes you wonder because, Greeny, you're exactly right. There is color by numbers. There is an absolute roadmap to what the top wide receiver should be making. There is. Other wide receivers have gotten deals. And by the way, everybody else is also looking at it because the next guy that gets a deal is going to be, if it's CeeDee plus $1. That's what it's going to be. So, yeah, it's a little puzzling. And I think it's fair to start to say, yeah, Jerry Jones has been this great businessman, but how are they negotiating with their own players?
That's a great point because when you look around the league, the average team has spent $112 million in free agency. The Cowboys have spent $17 million. And not saying you don't just build your team through free agency. You obviously build a team through the draft, but the Cowboys act like they're the only team in this position. Stephen Jones recently said on a podcast, I believe, he said, we're trying to play Houdini here, trying to keep all these guys. Hi, welcome to being an NFL GM and exec. That's literally your job. Because if you draft well, you want to keep the core players, you have to pay all of them. This is not a problem that's unique to Dallas. Other teams have figured it out. Other teams, like the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen, Brandon Beane may have gotten criticized for paying Josh when he did, but he was very happy because he knew the market was just going to keep going up. And that's what you do. You try to forecast. You try to read the tea leaves. What is that guy going to get? Okay, now we got to make sure we pay this guy that. And the fact that they have 3 stars on their team and nobody is signed, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how this is resolved.
I find myself confused. They're acting like they know something no one else knows, and maybe they do. Yeah. Maybe we'll find out there was some method to this madness, and it was actually genius. But I'm struggling to figure out what it is. Now, having said that, Lewis, I want to go back to the point you made earlier. So the other day when Adam Schefter was on that cab ride, literally
across America,
literally in a taxi from Detroit to New York. He called into McAfee. Oh no, but this was on Unsportsmanlike when he said this. Sorry. Then yesterday he's on Unsportsmanlike yesterday morning on ESPN Radio, and he was talking about what Dak is going to get paid when he eventually get paid. And listen to what Schefter said.
That's going to be the one that resets the quarterback market when it gets done, whether that's in season, unlikely, or after the season, more likely. And when that gets done, when that guy's got no conditions attached to his contract and he can't be franchised and he can't be transition tagged and he can leave and he can open up the bidding for his services, Dak Prescott's going to get a deal north of $60 million a year. It might be more, way more.
North of $60 million a year. Lewis, are we good with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it because look, we can sit here. It's a never-ending argument when you're talking about trying to ascertain, what is a player, what's his worth? And I know fans will get all up in arms about he's not worth $60 million plus, he's not worth more than Patrick Mahomes, he's not worth more than Justin Herbert, or he's not worth more than Aaron Rodgers, or whoever it is. But look, this is the market. This is the market right now, especially considering this. Keep this in proper context when you're talking about Dak Prescott. There's a scarcity issue when we're talking about quarterbacks overall when you're in professional football. So the negotiating term I always like to throw out there is, what is your next best alternative if you're the Dallas Cowboys? What are you going to do? Who are you going to turn to? I know people like to throw out there, well, why don't they just reset the whole thing and draft a quarterback, and then that way they have a quarterback on a rookie contract, as if that's so easy. As if that's like going to your local newsstand and buying some bubblegum cards and going, hey, I'll just take a quarterback here, a nice cheap one, and then we can pay everyone else. Dak has you right by the you-know-what. He has you because you can't franchise tag him, and he has a no trade clause. He can do what he wants to do. He can literally just walk out the door, and then you're left. Look, I'm a big believer in Trey Lance. I still believe Trey Lance's career isn't over. But are you telling me, based off of who you're going to pay, projected to pay in terms of CeeDee getting north of 32, 33, maybe 35 million? Micah's going to say, hey, look, man, I want to be the highest paid defensive player in the year. You're going to make those two investments and not pay your quarterback?
Yeah.
And go with an unknown commodity at quarterback, given everything else you've done? Is that what you're going to do? Look, Dak is going to get his. He's going to get his. It'll be north of 60. I won't bat an eye at it. Because that's the market. That's the price of doing business. And that's the price of doing business with a guy who played this very well in terms of how his contract was written and structured.
That's why he deserves 60
Brilliantly. He's played
because he
brilliantly.
played it. Him and his agent played this beautifully, which is why he deserves every penny he can get. Because when you're able to work the system to your advantage to this point, you should cash in.